Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Tenable Shard, the budget version with the crossbar lock. Very cool blue coating there. I think it's mostly just paint, but this is optional. You can obviously get a standard version of this without the coating. They come in either G10 or aluminum for the scales, and both versions are very, very well priced. The G10 one obviously being less expensive, but ton of these available. I'll link it down in the description. It does help my channel when you use those links, but that's up to you. Thanks so much to Tenable for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. Let's go ahead and take a look at some specs here. So I pulled this off of Blade HQ, and it's pretty darn close. Yeah, it's a full-size knife for sure at 8 inches and about 3.5 inches of blade there. Only 140 thousandths on the spine, but a little thicker than what we typically see, but still totally fine. 14C28N for the blade. The weight says 3.84 ounces, and it says the same thing for the G10 version, so I went to the Tenable website to see if it was any different. It's not. Also, this knife definitely weighs about 4 to 4.1 ounces, so it's probably that the G10 version weighs about 3.8 or whatever. The aluminum one weighs a little bit more, but that's my scale, right? This is a Kim Ning design, so very cool. And then also, this is a knife that is made in China. You probably knew that. Tenable, of course, being the budget brand of Concept, definitely going to be made in China. Let's go ahead and do some size comparisons up against some knives that are similar in overall size. How about the Vision FG? There we go. And then let's do the Raccoon as well. It's very similarly sized. Like, it's a little bit bigger, and it kind of has a Hogue Deca look to it. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and get the Hogue Deca out. This knife is a little bit like bigger. It's definitely a more beefy knife. But I think somebody looked at the Hogue Deca and was like, we got to make that. It seems like that was the case there. So yeah, this is a full-size knife, but it still is more, it's on like the more compact size, not quite as big as the 8-inch Ritter Hogue, if that makes sense. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'm going to get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use on this channel. So we have T8 for the pivot. That's awesome. And then we have T6 for the pocket clip screws, and unfortunately, T6 for the body screws. Not that big of a deal. It just adds to the annoyance of taking apart a knife like this that utilizes Omega springs in a crossbar lock, which is doable, but not super fun if you've ever done it. Far from impossible. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and move into the review. So here are the primary 6 categories that we'll be judging this knife on, and the possible grades. I will do my best to be as objective as possible during these first 6 categories, but you know, I'm a human being, so that only goes so far. But I'll do my best to be as objective as possible, and then I'll give my own separate, completely and totally subjective Metal Complex cool factor score that you can, weigh. You can add in there, or you can totally ignore it. So anyways, on to category 1. All right, so ease of manipulation category 1. How is it? It's actually pretty good. Pretty easy to get your finger right here and wheel it out. It's also fairly easy to reverse flick it. And it feels pretty good in terms of like the crossbar lock itself, like pulling it back. The tension is pretty good on the Omega springs. Everything's good. A little bit of a cutout here probably would have been nice. Same thing on the other side. It would have made that a little tiny bit easier, right? And then, of course, it is working with the tension on the Omega spring, so it's not that same satisfactory click from a detent ball, which I consider to be a system that makes the knife more satisfying and easier to use. In a lot of cases, I guess that's more of a preference there, but it is still very easy to manipulate. It could be better, definitely, but it's very good. I'm going to give it a B+. This is not anything that anybody's going to have an issue with. It's just not absolutely perfect, but still well deserving of a good grade. Moving on here to category 2, and that's blade practicality. It is very practical. It's hard nowadays to be bad at this unless you're doing it on purpose. You're like Max Ace, like trying to make a silly, goofy blade, right? But any company who's like trying to make a practical blade shape, I think a lot of people like to pretend that this is some like magical, you know, mythical smiths of the mountains. Only they know the means to create the practical blade. No, it's pretty, like we have a pretty good roadmap. Drop point, Warncliffe, sheep's foot, make it thin, make the edge, you know, make sure that it's got geometry that's going to assist the end user in cutting normal things. Like, it's not that special. It's pretty straightforward. So I give out a lot of good grades for stuff like this. And the reality of it is, not that I'm sugarcoating it, it's that it's pretty easy to just make a practical blade shape. You have to kind of, you know, like I said, like not want to do it, but people still do mess this up, right? But this, you can look at this and go, yeah, it's going to be pretty practical. You've got a lot of cutting edge. You've got nice belly. You've got sort of that reverse tanto, you know, kind of blade shape with the noses down. We should add some jimping. That really would have helped. Also, I'm not sure everybody's going to appreciate that plunge grind. That might kind of fight you a bit resharpening, but it's still really, really good. Like, I can't help but give it a good score here. Overall, this is great. And by the way, will this coating wear off? Yeah. Definitely. Like, it's been doing fine and I can clean it off, but if enough cardboard with this, or especially if I cut into wood or something like that, it's gonna wear away. So if you don't want that, then buy the version that's not coated. This is not anything super special. So just be aware of that. But practicality of the blade, it's great. A-. I'm gonna give an A- there. Doesn't deserve anything less than that. Comfort in the hand, and pocket is category 3. So it's combined comfort and ease of carry. Ergonomically, it's good. I can feel that pocket clip. At Bill, that's going up and in my hand. It's not terrible. I can feel it. Also, part of comfort is, for me, is jimping and feeling secure on that blade. This doesn't have any. It does, however, have some nice texturing here. This texturing feels good on the hand. Definitely helps with lock in and comfort. It's not aggressive. In and out of the pocket, it's pretty aggressive. It's definitely going to eat up your pockets a little bit. We do have mounting positions for both left and right hand carry, and that's really great because it's an ambidextrous locking system. Overall, it is very comfortable. But that in and out of the pocket there, I have written down here my initial impressions of this, and while I was carrying it, I have written down here for category 3 that we are going to judge it as a B+, and I think I still agree with that. Sometimes I look at these scorecards and off the side, and I, after having carried them, I look at what I, kind of wrote down during it, but after the full completion of it, I'm like, do I still agree with that? Was it actually that? I have it written down as a B+, and I think I still agree with that. I think it's still, very good. So, yeah, it's not great, but it's good. I'll put it there. It's just that I gotta stress, like in like my athletic pants or my sweatpants right now, like it is absolutely, they're already a little bit shredded and it's just eating them every single time. So if your pants are intact, fine. As your pants start to wear away, it starts to exponentially eat at them. That texturing is enough there to eat up pants, but not enough to eat up your hands. Outside of that, though, and the pocket clip, everything else is pretty good. So I'm gonna go with B+ there. The locking system. Well, we talk about reliability. Now, there's a lot of things that you could include here in terms of reliability, but when it comes to a pocket knife, as I always say, the element that's gonna really dictate how reliable it is the locking system, right? I mean, you need it to lock out. The materials are all great. We have high quality materials for this price point. Aluminum, steel liners, by the way, which is part of the reason why it's so heavy. I don't know why they didn't just do solid aluminum. I mean, like you could have just done a little cartridge liner that probably would have cost more money, right? To like mill it in specifically. So that's probably how they did. They did try to skeletonize it, right? But as far as the materials go, like all the materials are great. We'll talk more about that. But reliability comes down to the locking system mostly, and this is a crossbar lock utilizing omega springs. Lockout on a crossbar, assuming the omega springs are functioning correctly, is very, very good. This is a solid locking system. It's very strong, and ambidextrous, all of that. It's great. The downside to a crossbar lock is that it utilizes omega springs. And if one breaks, it definitely creates an issue. If both break, obviously the lock doesn't work. Now they're cheap and easy-ish to replace, right? But it does create an inconvenience. I have heard from many, many people, who have had omega springs break one day after they bought the knife, and also plenty of people who have used omega springs for a decade or more and never had that issue. Personally, I've never had an omega spring break. Never. But depending on how hard you use your knives and how often you do maintenance and add oil and things like that, your experience is going to vary. Sometimes bad luck plays a role. So, crossbar locks, the best of them cannot score higher than about a B+, and this is up there with the best of them. There's nothing wrong with this. It doesn't have anything that would about it that would suggest that it's a lesser crossbar lock. So it's fine. B+, it's good enough. That's still a good score. I don't want anybody to think that. There are definitely locking systems that are better, though, and more reliable. Moving on to category 5, overall quality. It's good. It's not doing anything special, right? I mean, there's nothing special about the quality here. It's exactly what I would expect. Fit and finish is very good. Seating of the hardware is good. There's nothing left unfinished. The cutting bevel is nice and even. There's no lock stick. As far as blade centering goes, it may be ever so slightly, maybe my eyes are playing tricks on me. It looks pretty darn centered. Everything feels good. No blade play or anything like that. Yeah. But not anything spectacular, not anything absolutely ridiculous, right? We're not looking at something that is like standout quality. It's what we would expect. It's good quality, right? But it's not anything majestic or stand out. So for overall quality, I have written down B+, and I'm going to stick with that. I agree with myself there. I do it this way because I know that I sometimes change my mind, right? So I feel like it's a good thing to write down what I think in the moment, and then after the carry and use experience is done. But anyways, the final category, value versus the competition. Who's the competition? Specifically, Chinese production budget knives. This knife comes in well under $75, which is the threshold for a budget knife on this channel. The basic version of this knife, which is exactly the same, except instead of aluminum, it's G10, is $46. Really great. The aluminum, this one right here, the super fun blue-coated aluminum one, is like $59. This is great. This is great. The value on this is awesome. I've definitely seen better value, right? It's not like, oh my gosh, I've never seen this before. It's totally and completely unique. How did they even price it this way? No, but it is a great value. Better than good, for sure. We typically see knives like if Civivi built this knife, if they built this would be an $80 knife, and we all know it, right? They're pushing Miguron prices here with this. I mean, we didn't throw a titanium clip on it or anything like that. And Miguron, has proven that they are willing to do 14C28N and titanium, this guy right here, for about $75, and that's pretty amazing, right? But yeah, A- there on value versus the competition. Really, really great. I'm happy with that. Now, as far as my own Metal Complex Cool Factor score, very specifically, the fact that they offer this blue bladed version is awesome. The knife itself is like, whatever, the design makes me think of the Hogue Deca. The value really, I think is awesome. There's something, that always perks my ears up when a company's like willing to charge, in this territory, like 10, 15, 20 less than I would expect. That's cool. It's just fun. So specifically this grade is applying to the blue bladed version. I just like that they have that. The cool factor there is awesome. This is not a knife that it's like, oh, I have to collect this. It's going to go up in value. I got to add it to my, I need to EDC. No, it's just really cool. Like, it's just plain and simple without putting too much emotion in it. I'd give it a B+. I think it's neat, right? But not something I'm, that's like brain melting or anything like that. But I do enjoy it. So let's move on to the final scorecard. All right, taking a look here. You guys probably could have guessed that this is right about where it'd be. This is a great score. This is a great card. I mean, if it's like I always say, if this is my kids report card, I'd be like, hey, you're doing really good. Obviously, there's a couple little areas that could be better, but I'm not a perfectionist, and I'm willing to accept that this overall is very good. and you're doing a great job. It would be something like that, right? So yeah, is this a recommendable knife to the average person? Oh my gosh, absolutely. It's not huge. It's not incredibly heavy. It's ambidextrous, both in terms of the locking system and pocket clip mounting position. It's got a great blade, great materials, really, really great value. I mean, it's a good knife. Like it's a good / great knife. I don't love the idea of boiling it down to one final score because everybody's gonna weight these individual categories differently. These individual categories are gonna be more or less. It's not a perfectly universal thing. So boiling it down to one final score is simply not ultra beneficial, especially since I know for a fact that tons of people will rush to the end of the video to just look at the final scorecard without context. So adding an additional total score or one complete score makes that even worse for the consumer who should be taking the individual parts of this review and figuring out for themselves which, how much they apply to them, right? As what I want to do here is help people, make an informed decision when they're buying this stuff, and just slapping some final total score on it without adding context to the individual categories does nothing for the consumer. So if you are somebody who rushed to the end to look at this scorecard, I know that you guys do that. But if you don't understand a grade, if you're looking at it and you're thinking, why, go back and listen. That's what you should do, is listen to my reasoning, which might be different than yours, in which case you can score that area yourself, right? Or consider how much that matters to you. Either way, though, I think that this is a very recommendable knife. And I think that if you're in the market for something like this, you're going to be happy with it. Yes, recommendable. It's going to go in my recommended knives playlist as well as my cheap knives I like playlist because it's under 75 bucks. That's going to be it today, guys. Thanks so much to Tenable for sending this in. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.